Starting today, we're making life for snails in our garden very difficult. The way how we're going to achieve this is by integrating a quite extensive snail fence within our paling fence. But before we can install it, I have to clear all the vegetation growing around the fence to ground level so we can access it properly. Yeah, and I'm clearing the last bit now using hand scissors to be a little bit more precise, not to damage the fence. I might have gone a little overboard with clearing, but now the fence is completely clear all around. It's getting really cold in the evenings now. During these weeks there are the ice saints, so I'm really happy that we haven't planted our plants out yet. But it's a good time to install metal edging, because that's actually what we're going to use to keep the snails out. It's galvanized, so it should hold up very long. The idea for this to be installed very much on the ground level of the fence, or even below ground, so there is really no room for snail to get in. So that's the first layer of the fence. So it's honestly really annoying to install, because it's so bendy and flexible. If I hit one end, then of course the other end pops out of the ground, and so it's really a test of patience installing it. Since things didn't work that great the last time, I decided to find a better approach, and I think I found one. I'm gonna carefully tap them in with the hammer, and then I got some screws which have essentially a tip which works like a metal drill. I can screw them in straight away, and this hopefully should speed things up, and it should also fix the metal border to the fence, so when I tap in the next one it won't pop out. So installing the metal barrier was not only about that it's hard for snails to enter, but I also thought that it would last very long, it being galvanized and all. And then I can also use one of those, battery powered hand shears or grass shears to just quickly mow around it, and I won't damage anything because it's metal after all. That said, if I would do it again, I'd probably think very hard about using wooden boards, simply because it would be much quicker and easier to install. But they also rot after a while, so I'm a bit undecided. But anyway, it's installed now. I'm super happy that this work is finished. So the second and probably most important part of our snail defense is going to be this electric fence. It very much works like a pasture fence. It consists of a strong rubber backing, and then it has 3 wires on it which can transmit electricity. This I'm going to install around the very top of the metal edging. This way, when the snails are coming and slithering up the metal barrier, they hit this final electric barrier and won't get across it. So hopefully this should really keep all of them out. Whew. Finally done. The whole electric snail fence is now installed. It was actually not so easy because it's designed for being used in rectangular beds. So of course this garden fence is anything but rectangular, but in the end, and under the use of many screws, I managed to install it. Now the last step is actually installing the Energizer. The old Energizer which I'm going to use is actually from a much larger electric fence, so it's really overkill for this small snail fence. But I will already have it, so I'm definitely going to use it. To connect it, I have to do a bit of finessing, because this kind of a snail fence is actually not designed to be used on any kind of enclosure with a gate in it. It's mostly used for raised garden beds, so you don't have a gate in those. But since I'm using it here, I have to do a bit of hacking, but I think I found a solution. It's from Gallagher, the same brand which the Energizer is from, and it's normally used to connect, those bands, those electric fence bands, which you quite often see around like horse stables quite often. But I think it should work. It has more or less the same width and height, so let's see if I can connect it. And then I have to connect the snail fence to the red connector on the Energizer. I'll place it on here, and the green end is then connected to the ground. Okay, so with the Energizer now connected, I have to find a way how to close the circuit so power can flow. What I found was also from Gallagher, which is also used for those band electric fences, is where you have kind of those connector on both ends. Okay, so the circuit should be closed over here. It's not elegant, but it should work hopefully. I connected the Energizer to this side, so it's not in the way. So the only thing still missing is connecting the ground. Let's connect the ground wire and then let's switch it on. We got a red light. I can also hear it whizzing. Now I have to try it if it works. There's no electricity in the fence yet. A different ground maybe? Maybe that's the problem. Let's try it one more time. No, still nothing. Okay, so the problem might be that this connector is only connected to the front of those wires and not to the back because there's the rubber behind it. There's the red light, I can hear the sound. Let's see. No, nothing. So it finally works. I gave up yesterday evening, to be honest, and came back today, and now I finally found the problem with the snail fence. So the issue was, and maybe if you can hear it, partly still is, are the placement of the screws. I screwed a few of them a little too close to the transmitting wire, and this shorts it out, and then the fence doesn't work. Now there is only one or two, I can hear them, so I'm just gonna replace them now, and then all should be fine. But I'm gonna switch it out first because I tried it before and it is really strong. Now placing the screw, but much further up, so it's even more distant. A summer thunderstorm just rolled through, which is not only nice because it really cooled down. It was super muggy before, but it's actually absolute perfect timing for kind of the final piece of the puzzle in our snail defense. Since the fence is working now all around the garden, so there are no more snails and slugs coming into the garden, I have to see if there are any already inside. The rain is absolutely perfect because they're coming out, and now I can make a few snail and especially slug traps in the garden. So what I need for the trap is actually some plastic container. I'm using an old yogurt container here, a packet or two of dry yeast, some flour, a little bit of water and a drill. I'm gonna drill some entry holes around here for the slugs to enter. I want to leave, of course, a bit of space down there because that's where the flour yeast water mixture lives and gives out a really irresistible scent to the slugs. And into this container I'm going to add now 2 packets of yeast, dry yeast, but you can also use fresh yeast, then some flour, really any kind of flour. Add a good amount of water. You want it to be quite a soup. You don't want it to become like a dough or bread or not even pancake mixture, but really quite watery, soupy. Then I'm gonna just mix it up, and this should really be irresistible for the snails. Perfect. And this I'm gonna put the lid on and bury it in some spaces in the garden. The entry holes are really easy to find now for the slugs and to enter. And now also a traditional beer trap. I'm setting them up mostly in the lower part of the garden because this is kind of the cool wet space which snails and slugs simply love. Now the important ingredient, some old beer. And the third and final trap. And the traps are set. And with this, our 3-pronged slug and snail defense is finally in place. It was a real effort, an effort which I really didn't expect, but now it's set up and I'm super happy with the result. So it consists of first the metal barrier, which was a pain to put up, but I think it's already a good barrier for them to enter. Then of course there's the electric snail and slug fence, which put up quite a fight, but it finally works. In the end it really was down to me using the metal edging all around, which is super conductive. So any screw that was even remotely close to the wire, of course, is perfectly connected and there's always a spark. The electric snail tape is by a Dutch company called Elephant, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic product. However, there are some very strange people like me out there who use it against a metal surface, and for them, if you're watching, please make the tape just a little wider so we can use the screws further away from the wires, and this way it shouldn't be any problems and there shouldn't be any sparks. It works! Our snail and slug defense works 100%, and we have been running it for more than a month now. The garden is full with tasty vegetable plants like those salad plants here. There is water, there is mulch, everything which snails and slugs absolutely love, but there are simply none of them in here. So obviously we are super excited that it worked out this well, and we can't recommend it highly enough for anyone to install a similar system. It really works, and this without any kind of chemicals, so it's a super ecological solution. With this really exciting end to this video, you can already look forward to our next video where we show you how we laid out the irrigation system, planted all the plants, and all our ideas and theories behind it. I have to run now and check for water levels because we're in the middle of a really strong heat wave, so we have to balance everything, that the plants get enough water but don't overuse it. Hopefully see you in the next video. Until soon, bye, cheers!